Yuri and I have been talking about hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones. We just wanted to share a little bit of that conversation with you. So hurricanes are the main ones that we focus on because they hit the United States, North America. Typhoons and cyclones just are the same type of storm that happen in different parts of the world. So we're going to focus on hurricanes. Hurricanes need two things. They feed off of heat and they feed off of moisture. So they need warm ocean water, which happens in the equator region and a little bit north of that. As summertime starts to come and the earth is tilting more towards the sun, those direct rays move from the equator up to the Tropic of Cancer, and the tropical ocean area there in the Atlantic starts to heat up. And so as that all starts to heat up, you start to get these low pressure systems. The warm air, the warm moist air is really, really, really low in density, and it starts to rise and it starts to spin, and it makes a big low pressure system, which is a tropical storm. And as it feeds off of more heat and more moisture, it turns into a hurricane. So we're going to walk through some animations for you throughout the four seasons. I want you to pay attention to the four seasons. That'll be up here. And there's going to be hurricane tracks that some of them go this way and some of them go this way, and you're just going to see how they form. We'll focus on what's the temperature as these hurricane tracks progress. Hurricane track's going to look like this. So you can see that was the throughout the year, the different paths that hurricanes take. And so we're just going to watch the four different seasons. The main things you got to know is that hurricanes are low pressure systems. As the pressure gets lower, the wind speeds pick up. And hurricanes, generally, what happens is as they come over landfall, the pressure is so low, the ocean will rise up a little bit, and that's what you get, what's called a storm surge. So you get really intense speeds, you get the ocean, the whole rise up, that's called a storm surge, and that causes a lot of flooding. Plus you have rainwater, massive amounts of rainwater falling, that causes more flooding. And we've discussed hurricanes in the fall when we were starting school, because hurricane season, basically as the oceans heat up throughout the summertime and into the fall, that's when these storms have enough energy to really cause a lot of damage. We'll just pop back in after the animation and go through that. So you can see a satellite image here of a hurricane, and it is spinning in this direction. It's counterclockwise. This is the center of a gigantic low pressure system. So as it's all spinning that way, what's the surface wind pattern? You got to remember, you draw the same direction that you're going around the L. Okay? And wind blows from highs to lows, so they go into the low and counterclockwise. So counterclockwise and in. Air mass associated with formation of hurricanes. That's the moist, really warm tropical waters. So that's maritime, the water, marine, tropical B there. I like this question a lot because it shows in May, okay? And then July, you can see that there's more warm water building up and you're starting to get bigger storms. And then all the way through September, this tropic region has had a chance to really get warm sea surface temperatures, and you start to get these bigger storms. And remember, side note, they're all northern hemisphere curves to the right. So all of these hurricanes take a right-hand course, right-hand turn. How's the area of the hurricane formation change? It's a nice question to get on a final exam because you're not really using any knowledge. You're just analyzing a diagram. So they'll do that with different topics. They give you the diagram and you just have to analyze what they gave you, and you could just say, you know, from May to September, the area is growing. Draw a line to indicate a relationship. This is where I use the dot method. And for this one, they're giving you the data. You just have to be able to turn it into a visualization. So when the air pressure is low, so down here, are we going to get high speeds or low speeds? So I'm going to pick out some low. These two are low air pressures. The wind speed, 173, looks like the highest. So these look like the biggest. So when the air pressure is lower, my wind speed is higher, so I make a dot. Let's check when the air pressure is high. When the air pressure is high, 977 is really high, 970 is really high. The wind speeds are lower than these. They're still fast wind speeds, but they're lower. So I would go like this, and it would be an indirect relationship. The lower the air pressure, the higher the wind speed. And another side note, you can see that hurricane trail, they turn to the right. And another side note, you can see all of these hurricane trails are taking right-hand turns. That's because of the Coriolis effect. Everything turns to the right. And the general wind pattern from here, the prevailing winds are blowing this way here, and they're blowing this way up here. And there'll be a separate video on the prevailing winds. One ocean surface condition or atmospheric condition that makes the Atlantic ideal, either moist or warm, either of those two. Several hurricanes have affected land areas. Describe 2 actions people should take. Always, for any natural disaster, have water, have a first aid kit will always get you the answer, okay? Doesn't matter what it is. Have water, have a first aid kit. Now, in reality, if a hurricane's coming, what do you want to do? To prepare for future hurricanes, you can have an evacuation plan, okay? That works too. That's always a nice one. But have food, have water, have a first aid kit. You can't go wrong with those.